Plugins. All the types. This installment of SAT isn't so much about tips I use a lot. It's about arming you with some information that might be useful down the road, or right now, depending on your level of experience. Either way, as my father-in-law once told me, the guy with the most answers wins. So let's arm you with some answers. Last week I talked about Nyquist plugins and how to install and enable them in Audacity. This time I want to finish out that topic and talk about the rest of the plugin types that are out there and which ones you can use. Not all the types are usable on all platforms, and that is the one thing that many Audacity users get stuck on. Nyquist. To recap a bit, Nyquist refers to the language used to write these plugins. You could even create your own plugins to use, but that's a subject for another time. Let me know if it's something you'd like to know more about. Nyquist plugins are platform agnostic because if they're just Nyquist code, they'll run in Audacity on Windows, Mac, or Linux. LADSPA. As the name indicates, Linux Audio Developers Simple Plugin API, LADSPA plugins, were originally created for Linux. However, some of them have been ported, rewritten, and recompiled for Windows and/or Mac. One of the cool things about this type of plugin is that they support real-time preview in Audacity, which means, among other things, that you can change the selected audio while the plugin is open for preview, and you can apply the effect without closing the plugin. They're a lot of fun to tinker with. LV2. LV2 stands for LADSPA version 2. It adds a wealth of capabilities, most of which are aimed at music creators. For example, LV2 plugins can support MIDI events, synthesizers, and other digital sound creation and instrument control processes. There are literally thousands of LV2 plugins available, both free and commercial. VST. The VST, Virtual Studio Technology, plugin standard was created by Steinberg. They come in three categories: instruments, mostly synthesizers, effects, and MIDI effects. In the VO world, our interest is in the effects, plugins that process audio. Instrument effects generate audio and are used mostly by music producers. Tip for VOs: there are some very good equalizer plugins in the VST camp. If you know how to sweep the freaks to find and fix audio issues, there are several free VST plugins with graphic displays that are great. Try 10Q, Equilibre, or Re-EQ. Audio Unit, AU. AU plugins are available only on the Mac platform. They are system-level services created by Apple as part of its core audio component in Mac OS. Tip for Mac users: if you already have the AU suite of plugins on your Mac, all you have to do to use them in Audacity is go into the Add and Remove Plugins tool and enable them as you would any other plugin. Each has AU at the beginning of its name. Here's the list from my Mac. So here's a summary of all the plugin types and the platforms that can use them. And here are some places you can visit to download plugins. It's not an exhaustive list by any means, but you can probably find something that might suit your fancy on at least one of the sites. I'll put these down in the description too. Tip for plugin management: avoid the urge to download and enable dozens of plugins in Audacity. It's much easier to enable the ones you use and disable the rest. Your effects menu will be much easier to navigate. Final and best tip on plugins: this is a serious rabbit hole topic. You can spend and waste multiplied hours playing with plugins. This is especially bad if you make your living producing audio. Every hour playing with plugins is an hour away from gainful work. So before you head off to any of the download sites I mentioned, do one of two things. Either know what you're looking for so you can quit when you find an appropriate plugin, or set a timer so you know when plugin playtime is over. Next time, we'll be back to more familiar territory, taking a look at the waveform in Audacity and what it can tell us while we work. P.S. Thank you for all the feedback on SAT. I love being able to address topics you're facing with your everyday Audacity work. Keep those emails coming and tell your friends about Stuart's Audacity tips.